Hello, it's Brendan from TechBuzz Ireland. Today we have the WELOCK, and this particular model is the Touch41 and actually one wonderful thing you'll notice is the fingerprint touch screen that you can actually use. The box doesn't tell us a huge amount of information. It gives us the QR code to download the app. It just gives a bit of manufacturing information and etc. on that. Quite plain, doesn't allude too much, but I suppose this is what you're actually getting on the box itself. One thing I will mention is we have done these in the past in this particular brand, and this particular one, what you'll notice is very quickly is from one particular side you might say they're nearly identical in terms of it's the same principles will actually work. So it's the same idea, exact same format, exactly. The main difference you will automatically notice is with this particular one, it's fingerprints versus the previous one, which was the PCB 10E BL41. That was the previous one we did a few years ago. So I'm going to leave this one aside because talking about this brand. But in theory, it's the exact same principles. I suppose, what are you actually getting? Obviously, you're getting the instructions themselves with the unit itself. And you can open the door by fingerprint, RFID cards. So you've got the RFID cards, which you'll be quite familiar with. 3 of them come in the box. You can actually pair 20 of these particular cards to this particular item, which is quite handy, or up to 100 fingerprints. So you can actually connect your fingerprints and 100 different fingerprints in theory if you've got a lot of bit of them. It doesn't come with the AAA batteries, 1.5, which are the normal ones. With the 3AA batteries, which do not come with it, that allows for about 8,000 locks per there, which is approximately about 1 year of run life of the battery. Obviously, getting good quality batteries is also good. Also quite important is the safety, electrostatic protection up to 30,000 volts with an IP65 water rating. So it's IP65, it allows you to splash just the water on it, but it wouldn't be actually, you wouldn't submerge it underwater. That wouldn't be a requirement of it. One other important part is this particular model will do doors from 50 to 100 mils thick. Depending on what European country you're on, you might want to double check that, and there is a load of different specifications for different models, and that is quite important to know. But you can contact the manufacturers at any stage to get an idea of that. And I suppose to give a bit more ideas what you're trying to achieve here at the moment is, number one, you're putting it on a door to unlocking it, and as I said, you can use the fingerprint there at the moment. You can use Bluetooth via the app, and you can use the RFID cards which are here. You can also use an Wi-Fi remote unlock, but there's actually a gateway, a separate gateway is actually required to do this, and there's a USB spare key unlock, so you could use it in case the battery actually dies, so you're not completely locked down. The instructions gives you a fairly idea what's actually going on, catalogue, and the instructions give you a good idea of the details here, and it just gives you an explanation about the fingerprint is here. This is a set wake up there at the moment, and the front handle. One of the first things I would probably suggest would be is on this particular side, it's got an ID. Take a photograph of the details. Quite important, you'll need it afterwards. The instructions goes through about number one, installation of the batteries via the back. So actually Allen key removes this here, you remove it back, this whole thing slides off, and then you put the 3 batteries back in here and they just slide in. Quite clearly defines what's going on. Tells you what's in the packaging as well, which is the 3 RFID cards. It's got a couple of screws and Allen keys and other details, and the manual. So it comes with a nice little set here at the moment with the RFID cards, 3 RFID cards, which you'll be probably familiar. A little screwdriver that we'd use and a couple of other screws. And that's kind of there. It tells you install the batteries, nothing. And next part, it tells you the installation and how to installation, adjust the length of the door, etc. Gives you pictures of installation. I would stop. The very clear thing. This is tell you how to open the door, and you might go ahead and do it. In the back, it tells you about registering the fingerprints, and it gives you a register fingerprint, clear the functions, RFID card, and it gives you details about setting up your phone. From experience in this particular product, I would have to say I would certainly do the installation inside first of all, because you're downloading the app itself, which is this particular app. So when you scan the QR code from the back of this particular product, or it's actually on the box. Slightly strange in that you don't go through the Play Store. What it actually has is going in directly. This means you've got to do a lot of settings on your phone to say accepted, 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 out of the normality. Some officers may not like that particular approach because you're going out of the normal routine of actually downloading it directly. So you're running it there and that. Going onto the Play Store, for example, it is available on it. Typically you get a lot of reviews to say feedback from different people there, and you get a score out of 5. If it's 5, use perfect. This particular app I've been using it for a while. I would have to give it about 2.5, and I'll explain why, no, rather than 3, 4, 5. Don't get confused. It does actually work. It is able to work, but it's confusing in certain areas. It has not been written as in English as the first tone. There is a lot of different options you can set, but you'll notice certain wording, certain stranges there at the moment on that there. But once you do eventually get the app downloaded, up and running, it is Thierry. As I said, the first thing I do in here, inside the building, is get your RFID card set up, get the app working, because it's better to be doing it in a nice warm environment than standing at the door trying to reach over with tools and then having things. And again, you may need this particular code afterwards for the setup. Once it's set up, in principle, it's got add device list. My device list is actually showing 2 items, which is this particular item here, but because about 2 years ago we've done this particular one as well, it's still listed on my same app, which is quite good to have them there. So if I had more devices, I could put it in. Add a card is just pressing it here, and we can just basically add a new RFID card, configure it to when I want it. So I can say is this particular person has only access in the evening, for example, or they can have it any time, depending on who you're giving the particular item to. Or maybe it's only 7 to 7 in the day. They shouldn't be accessing this particular building out of hours, or as the case might be. So you can actually configure it in different ideas. More importantly, I suppose, is once it's configured there at the moment, is in principle, this is how it works. As a person who's standing inside the door, you twist this. So this is the key. This allows you to open the door and ignore all the other mechanisms in the door. This is the part that works. So anytime I'm inside the door, doesn't matter what happens, I can always open from the inside the door. When I'm on the outside, you can quite clearly see this is not spinning. So I can spin it, I can get a hammer, I can break this off, get an angle grinder, cut it off, but I cannot get this to change. So in theory, anybody on the outside will not work. When we do this here, for example, you might see it's unlocked. Now all of a sudden I've unlocked it. This means that this particular mechanism will allow, so this is how it's actually working. And again, it's telling me it's locked. If the battery was actually low, it's saying within the app as well, it'll actually give me an idea of the when I can actually, in the past, a history of unlock history when it's coming. So I can go unlock history, and these are the different times. So if in other words, if I wanted to know, was it a card, was it something else, how I was unlocked, I can actually see which card, which idea, which was going on there at the moment. So I've got a history of different unlockings, etc. The reason I'm suggesting doing this in here is it's nice and warm. I don't have to be worrying about the lock. And again, if for example somebody gone to the door and says, oh, I want to get in, I can actually unlock it here at the moment. So this will allow me to unlock it. Yeah. So you can see again, it is unlocked. So I've done it with the card, and I've done it with fingerprint, and I've done it here also. So I can use the app there at the moment, and that just gives me an idea. And actually it's timed out, so if somebody follows in after me, it's thing. Within here itself, we did mention about the lock itself, the size of the lock. A couple of tools, we'll use this for outside. I like the idea of just this little pin here at the bottom. This is actually quite handy because if I want to do a reset, it's quite good for the setting itself. So that's very important. In a few moments, I will actually physically set it up to get an idea of those details and the lock settings, and kind of audit settings and permissions, etc. Not particularly worried with Alexa and Google coming there at the moment in the background, so we haven't actually set that up for there, but that's something that may be coming. The reason I mentioned a couple of issues with the app itself is when you're configuring it, you've got to join connected with your mobile number. It says a PIN code. it comes along and says you've got to enter in if there's any queries. Doesn't remember your country, so it has to resend it to the country each time. It sends it in there. You set up the app, and certainly not English, and you would know it straight away there at the moment. And when you look at this particular screen, it's not bad. It's got a lot of the information, but it's not clear and concise as I would normally expect to think. From a mechanical point of view, no issues whatsoever. So if I took a sledgehammer to this and gave it a bang and etc., it would be very, very strong. It is very good. And in a few moments we'll give you a demo of actually physically setting it up. So in theory, all I'm really doing is monitoring this particular item here in any lock, which is the bones for anybody's particular lock here at the moment. So again, I stress, you can open the door at any stage inside, but you need this to do it, and we'll set it up in the past. This is the door that's been replaced at lock. The first thing I will do is, from a normal thing, take the door off here. So I'm unscrewing these particular handles here and actually take it off on the other side. So I'm just going to replace this standard door, unscrew these, and then I'll replace it with the other than that. This has now been unscrewed, so I'm just going to remove the handle from it here. This is the handle, the old handle there, but what you'll notice is the lock is still in it. This is the part I'm actually going to be replacing. I'll put the key back into it to help me do that. Before you do that, take it out, you need to remove the screw. So the tool provides it, and the screw just comes out. This comes out. And that is the mechanism there coming out. And then it's just a matter of fiddling around here to get the main part out. Move the barrel. This is the original barrel that was there, and I'm actually going to replace it with this particular one there. So I assume there's the same principles there. Put that over there, and just a bit more so we can actually see what we're doing. So it's the same idea. These will fit physically in. Before I go trying to change it, I now need to adjust the size of this particular one here. This will actually come out. And caution not to lose the Allen key. So this comes out. This can be adjusted to, so if I had a wider door and narrow door, you can see the length of it can actually change in. So this will actually go in the outside, and this will go in the in. Thank you for watching the TechBuzz Ireland, the WELOCK Smart Lock Touch41 Fingerprint lock. And I suppose in essence that's what you have. The lock is actually in the door at the moment. The instructions are there. The app is what you'll actually use, or your fingerprint or the RFID cards, and that's the essence of how it works. One really handy advantage of the whole lot is if you do go out, you do go somewhere, you don't have to carry your keys around as you would normally do. You can then remotely unlock it from your phone. That's another option also as well. But the RFID cards are quite good, or the fingerprint there at the moment, so you can decide on what is the best option for you to actually lock, etc., unlock there at the moment. As I said, physically, lock strong, really good, can't fault the mechanism, can't fault the system. The installation is not bad. Bit of oil on the door beforehand might be no harm if the door hasn't been used before, just to loosen up some of the screws. It's the center screw that is the key to getting the door out and putting that in, and just ensuring that they're aligned with this particular screw there at the moment. Once it's in and working, can't fault it, no issues whatsoever. I did mention a few niggles regarding the app because it's not via the PlayStation, and because it's there, it's different. There's a couple of other little quirks there at the moment, but I do stress the app does work, etc. And that was the Touch EBL 41 instructions. And by all means, go back to a previous one that we've done before. This is an older version one at the moment. It's the exact same principle, so if there's any doubts there at the moment on how it actually worked, that was the PCB 10 EB41. So in theory, both of them are the exact same principles and how they work, and the mechanism is that little cog in the center. As far as an emergency is concerned, you can always exit from the inside out. Okay, so that particular part of the handle will always turn this particular notch there at the moment, so you'll never get stuck indoors there at the moment. From the outside, if the batteries do go to a year, it does give a warning up there, it does give a new phone, and you can plug a USB charger directly into the bottom here at the moment. And that. Thank you for watching Tech Buzz Ireland, and that was the Touch EBL 41. Thank you.